Craig. They're both very experienced pacers, so they should do a good job through to the 3K. Oh, we've got Willie Fink as well. He's always a tough runner up the front.
The Ipsy Eagle.
Yeah, I think Willie Fink is sort of the people's champion. He's always gotten a few scalps when he...
All right, they're off now. We'll get you splits as they come around here. But yeah, we got Matt Baxter in here too, another New Zealand athlete.
Yeah, Matt's been running well after returning from New Zealand during a pandemic. He's become a young father, but still based in NAU and Flagstaff after he went to school at NAU.
And you're moving into a new role too, you've had 2 decades of fantastic running. Storied 19 years sub 4-minute miles, but now you joined Tracksmith and you're moving into a new role there and helping athletes out into their own. Tell us a little about that.
Oh, it's been so much fun, Jeff. It's been 20 years since I've been sort of on the circuit, and a long time since I got to utilize my economics degree from Michigan. But honestly, the most fun is that every weekend now I get to be a fan of track from a more intimate level, because there's athletes that I'm involved with on a professional level, helping equip them and hook them up with any support that we can from Tracksmith, and now I get to cheer them on. And it's quite funny actually meeting a lot of these people for the first time. I've had Zoom meetings with them or tons of emails, but then down on the track you actually meet them face to face for the first time, and that's always sort of fun. It's a reminder that the pandemic is coming to its close, and yeah, we get to do a lot more face to face work in our role in the industry.
Yeah, and we're very thankful for your support of this meet as well, sponsoring or partnering with us in putting on all these races here.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's a lot of fun. And Tracksmith's obviously very young, and primarily been based in the New England area up until the Olympic trials and the marathon last year was sort of our coming out party. And now we're looking forward to helping more and more people, not just in distance running where we're sort of traditionally known, but also supporting field eventers and sprinters as well. So we've got a broad range of athletes that we're sporting leading up to the trials, and we've got about 30 athletes qualified for Eugene, so it's going to be a lot of fun working in Eugene and being a part of the Olympic trials. Personally, I've never been to the US trials before. Obviously, I'm a New Zealander, so it's going to give me a first-hand experience and try and use my experience, having been to a few Olympic Games, to create as stress-free of an environment for all of our athletes and taking care of them and all of the sort of supplemental stuff that they have to navigate that being at the trials involves.
Yeah, and looking at this here, we've got we're getting into a good portion of the race here, coming up to a K. The first lap was covered in around 63 seconds, 800 meters in 2:09. So they need 63.5s if they want to be on 13.5 pace, which is the Olympic standard.
So they were 2:42 through a K, which is a little slower than 13:20 pace. But knowing Jerry and the conversations I've had with him in the past is that he always prefers a negative split, and I'd much rather see the first K be a little slower and then they have to pick it up. You want to have the rabbits build momentum into the race before they pull out. If they're slowing down before they pull out, it's much harder for the athletes to have to accelerate to get back onto pace. It's better if they just maintain what they're given. So that's the command I've always given to our pacemakers. Always accelerate before you finally pull off the track. We've got Sam Chalanga moving up on the outside right now into fourth.
And 3:15 through the 1,200 meters there. Craig Nowak and Dan Herrera at the front. Lopez Lomong sitting in third behind the Rabbits. And like you said, Sam Chalanga on the outside.
You got Frank Lara in fourth from Roots Running as well, and he was rabbiting the 10K last night. He got them through the 5K and 14 flat. So this is, I guess, a training weekend for him, doing a pacing 5K and then racing one. A little bit like what we saw last night with Segura running the 2 times 10K workout. That was pretty interesting.
That was unreal. We've seen some major workouts in this race, or in this event too. Like Molly Seidel, before she ran the 10K, went out for a 5-mile tempo on the waterfront.
I heard about that after. So how long did she have after she finished the tempo before she jumped into the actual race?
She was telling me she barely made it to the line because she had to drive up here to get here. So it wasn't a lot of time. But we got Jordan Guzman out there on the outside too in the bleached hair.
Yeah, Jordan's come over from Australia to train with a lot of the guys down in Boulder. I'm not sure what they're calling their training group anymore, but formerly known as the Tin Man Elite, and see if they still keep that name. But Dan's doing a good job. Dan Herrera, he's made it past a mile. He's trying to get him to 1800 for Craig to keep on going. Craig Novak, he's looking smooth. He's always a good guy as a rabbit. It's always nice to have a guy who's really economical and smooth in front of you being a pacemaker, because it helps you just key in on their back and you get into their rhythm as well.
Yeah, I remember doing workouts with Grant Robeson when we were at Michigan, and that guy was so smooth. It just felt like it was easier for me to do quarters behind him.
You just put on that sort of like invisible fishing hook onto their back and you just get pulled along. The smoother they are, the easier it is.
We're seeing Willie Fink coming up on the outside, jumping up behind Jordan Guzman now, and the mile was covered in 4:19 a bit back, and then they've covered a 64-second quarter since then.
Yeah, so they haven't slowed down after the initial sort of 64.5 pace. They're just either maintaining it or slightly picking it up. But I'm encouraged that Lopez is the one right behind the rabbit. It means that he probably means business and he's going to keep it going. We'll have to wait and see. The hard thing in 3Ks is so often they ask for a pace to the 3K, then as soon as the rabbit pulls off, the guy or the woman who's left out in front always sort of hesitates for a couple of laps. And I'm like, all right, who's going to take the lead for me? I don't want to be that one. And they always lose 3 or 4 seconds, and that's what happened at the Sound Running meet a couple of weeks ago. And here's hoping tonight that Lopez keeps it pushing and they can really negative split the second half of the race and help a lot of these guys reach their Olympic goals, whether it be for the trials or whether it be for their nation's selection.
So that lap was covered in 63.5, so they're getting back down onto pace there. And Frank Lara is also a tough guy too, who can take the reins when Craig Nowak steps off. So they've got good working hands up there, people who can do the job. Lopez Lomong, it'll be really interesting to see what he does in the later stages of this race, because that'll be telling about what he can do as we get to the trials, because that 5,000 meter team is a tough one to make.
So is he looking to do the 5:10 double or just the 5K? I haven't heard what his focus is going to be for the trials.
That's a good question. I don't know if they tip their hand too much there. That's Jerry's like the Bill Belichick of track and field. That's what I like to say.
The thing about Lopez, and I've been trying to do the research of this in the last decade, but he's one of the very few. There's perhaps a number of 5 people who have done this before, and that's to run a lifetime best 800 of 1:45 or faster, and also finish top 10 in NCAA Cross. And Lopez got third for NAU and NCAA Cross, and he's run 1:45 when he was 4th at the Olympic trials. So an unbelievable range, and a guy that you can't ever really count out in any style of race because he can handle the strength or the speed.
Yeah, now nearly a sub 27 guy in 10K too.
So Novak's made it to 2,800 and he's pulling away, but Lopez doesn't want to be the guy covering it. So
somebody's got to move up and get on Nowak, because he's looking around. He'd like somebody to come up there. That was a 62-second lap, so it's like Nowak is speeding up, but the pace train is staying the same.
Man, Craig looks good, and he doesn't have the standard in the 5K. Maybe he'll choose to keep on going, but he's got the standard in the steeple, so maybe he'll just focus on that. He had a really good race last night. I think he ran 8:27.
It would be like a guy wearing a skull and crossbones singlet to steal this race, but it looks like he's taken off there and then leaving Lopez Lomong to the front. So we'll see what Lopez wants to do now. Is he going to slow it up, or is he going to take up the mantle? That's 8:04 through 3,000 meters.
Yeah, if Lopez just sort of settles in for a lap or two, I wouldn't be surprised if Willie Fink pushes it. He's a guy that after the couple of meets a couple of years ago in New England, he showed that he was willing to grind it out from front. The Adrian Martinez meet was sort of a coming out party for him, but now it is really slowing down now. Lopez isn't wanting to push it.
So we need either Frank Lara to step up, Jordan Guzman, or Willie Fink.
Or maybe even Sam Shalanga might come up. He's in 7th place right now.
Everybody's got some decisions to make now.
Garrett Heath, here he comes.
Oh, you can always count on Garrett Heath to push the pace if he's up there. Get that man out in front. 8:38 at 2 miles here. That was a 70-second lap. So Lopez really letting the pace lag here. And he looks like he's just trying to get to the racing part of this segment. But
it's really good to see Dave Ribich moving up as well. He's sort of had a bit of a rough transition to the 5K in his earlier attempts, but he's got the speed. He already has the standard in the 1,500 for the trials. So the fact that he's giving the 5K a go means he's really backing his ability in it.
We've got Germa Machizo up front now. He ran a 67 for that lap, so trying to claw it back a little bit. Lopez latching onto him as we see the splits populating the screen. And then we'll Now we see Machizo again, and Lopez right behind him, and then Frank Lara. And yeah, look at the Beasts there. The Beasts are making a statement here in the Electric Forest tonight with some great performances. And now Garrett Heath and Dave Ribich look to continue that. Ribich, a new guy on the scene in the 5K.
Yeah, I'd never known him as being a distance guy. I always thought a lot of those Brooks guys come from the 800, 1500 sort of stable. Generally, as a miler, you come from either the speed side or the strength side, so it's good to see him being able to cover this 12.5 lap distance. And if he's strong enough at the end, he's got the speed, so no one's going to be able to match Lopez in the last 300 meters, but he might be one of the guys with a good sprint to race for second at least anyway. Frank Lara's got a surprising turn of speed as well. This is a good warm-up for him. He'll be doing the 10K as his focus at the trials.
27:43 man down at the Sound Running meet, and that was a 65-second lap from finish to finish there.
But the 10-5 double at the trials is possible, so this should be able to, if Frank can keep this pace going, he should be able to secure a qualifying time as well.
13:25, the qualifier to get into the Olympic trials, and Garrett Heath down at the Sound Running track meet ran 13:25, so he's looking to get under that today.
So that 1K to go, they need to go 2:34 to get under the trials standard of 13:25.
So now if anybody has any gas left in the tank, they need to push it.
Generally in the last 600 meters, if they can run sort of a 31 and then they'll run a 56 or 57 for the last quarter, so they can make up a lot of time. I think that's what Sonia was explaining to you last night during the 10K, and it's so true. Like when you're averaging 64s, if you can run a 56 at the end, that's 8 seconds that you can make up. But here goes Willie Fink with 800 to go.
Just like you said, Willie Fink up to the front, the Eastern Michigan alum, the Ipsy Eagle.
Trains out in Virginia or DC now. I know he used to be in Virginia, but now he's with the Under Armour group, so maybe he trains in DC with them. We've got a good race. We've got a whole pack still there of about 10 runners coming up with 600 to go. Garrett Heath's just dropping off as Matt Baxter goes around him.
Look at Dave Ribich up there at the front, contending with Lopez, trying to push him to the outside.
And Sam Chalanga making a move with 600 to go.
Sam Chalanga, also a great 10K down at the Sound Running invite, so you know he's fit and ready to roll. Willie Fink at the front and Lopez on the outside. When is Lopez going to make a move here?
I think he'll wait till 400 to go. Jerry's probably got a stopwatch to time his last quarter. He'll say, I want to see what you can run for the last quarter. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes almost exactly at the bell. Or if someone challenges him and Frank Lara, he might try and hold him off.
Yeah, look at Frank Lara move to the front here as we get to the bell lap. Sam Chalanga moving up.
Now Lopez is just going to hold him off to the bell, but Dave's right there, Dave Ribich.
Dave Ribich still in this. He's got a 13:37 personal best from the Sound Running track meet a couple weeks ago.
Really good to see Lawi Lalang hanging there. He's, after being an absolute NCA stud, one of the greatest ever, he's had a bit of a rough couple of years, but he's in there. He's on pace for the trial standard 2 and 6.
Dave Ribich challenging Lopez Lomong on the outside, getting some daylight now, getting in front of him. Can he get to that inside lane? It looks like he can. So Dave Ribich now on point. He's got the rail. That's the Nick Willis spot. You always want to run the shortest distance. And Lopez Lomong, is he going to be able to track Ribich down in the stretch? There's 150 meters to go, and Ribich is bucking a little bit.
This is going to be a huge PR for Frank Lara in third as well. They're on pace to run about a 13:15 here, with Lopez with a big last 50.
This is a dream scenario here. Ribich looking to hold off Lopez Lomong down the stretch, but Lopez Lomong showing that he's the class of the field coming into the line, running 13:26, but a big run for Dave Ribich still.
Oh, I was way off on my time predictions. I must have been looking at the wrong clock. Sorry about that, guys.
13:26.11, a 58-second closing lap for Lopez Lomong, and then a 58-second closing lap for Dave Ribich as well. One of the biggest races for David Ribich's career, I think. That has to be a good confidence boost.